Mississippi rivers meet. The Dakota call this place Minnesota Makoche, where the water reflects the heavens. So the land, the water, my ancestors, they are all part of me. They are all supporting me. They speak with me through me right now. So I acknowledge them as I and thank them for being part of how I come to you today. So this talk is, I would say, dedicated, if I can dedicate talks, to Master Katrina Toby, because she has been my inspiration for it. She has done so much for the Spring Forest Qigong community. And I love it. My mind has been blown multiple times when she really pauses to invite us to listen to what that teaching of the three treasures is inviting us to recognize. And it's inviting us to see that the treasure of community is as important as our amazing teacher. So I'm going to introduce that idea a little bit more, and then I'm going to talk about three aspects of living that out, with some guiding themes and some stories, weaving it all together, closing with a meditation. So thank you for being here with me. Appreciate it very much. I'm grateful for this opportunity to share my thoughts. So the teaching in Spring Forest Qigong that there are three treasures is an echo, I recognize, of Buddha's teaching of the triple jewels, the Buddha, who's the teacher, the teachings, and the Sangha, or the community, and I think most frequently referring to like the monastics who really preserve the teachings and the teachers. But I love it when Master Katrina asks us to pay attention to the treasure of community, because it feels so true to me and describes part of my experience. So I don't think that I would be here were it not for community. I could say a lot about Master Lin, how much I've learned from him, how much he has directly helped me with my healing. I've had many, many, many sessions with him. And I do not think I would have been able to receive the healing or stuck around for like over a decade the way I have, if it weren't for the community of healers and teachers alongside him. From when I first came and Master Jackie was still working at the front desk, I received so many healings and insights just through the act of scheduling with her. And I first went to class, and I wasn't totally sure how all the info was landing, but during lunch, I chatted with Master Jerry, and I could relate, I could connect, and it was so valuable. And now we teach together. Master Jim Nance, he has taught me so much to identify and notice my intuition and learn to trust my intuition. Master Glenn Toby, at any workshop I am at with him, we always have like this side conversation that is so valuable for me to integrate what the content is of the workshop. Master Manira, she unlocked the 6 Taoist healing sounds. Before it was just sort of random information that couldn't land, but now it lands. So I needed all of these people. Otherwise it would have been like Master and Lynn and me in our little boats gently going down the stream, and I might just kind of get lost, like stuck on the shore, and I don't know if I could get unstuck, or I might not be able to keep up. But with all these teachers, we're like a flotilla going down the stream together, looking out for each other so we can all ride in the current well together. So I also treasure that Spring Forest Qigong has given me such access to the experience of recognizing my oneness with the whole human family. And this is like the holy grail, right? Like, why as Rodney King said a little over 30 years ago, like, why can't we all get along? And I was a teenager, and that just really stuck in my head as, like such the human question. Why can't we all get along? And, because Master Lin will teach, right, we are relatives. And how can we say we're all relatives? It's because we all come from the oneness. And this is why we can communicate with each other, like and healing works, because we all come from the oneness. And we all have a piece of that oneness in our heart, in our soul. It's a pure part of us, a pure aspect of this oneness. And it can never become unpure. We can lose touch with it and kind of operate as though it's not there. So it can be hard to access, but it is there always. And making the connection to it is the tremendous gift of Spring Forest Qigong for me, is because there's so many wonderful tools, levels 1, 2, and 3. They give us these amazing tools that are so well organized so we can really connect with that oneness and connect with our soul. And when we make that connection, that unlocks an understanding of that we share that connection with all of life. So it's we might want to convince people, see these people as they're humans too. I've certainly put in my time thinking about like mediation, conflict resolution, policies to prevent us from hurting each other, different kinds of cross-cultural education programs. Like I've done many of those things. And they often mainly engage the head, or maybe they're just rules that people bristle against. And I find the most transformative, we always talk about good, better, best. The best for me is making that connection to the oneness. Then seeing each other as also having pieces of the oneness. It's effortless. So that's the magic and the power in Spring Forest Qigong, and the contribution Spring Forest Qigong can make to community building. So, I feel this. I want to acknowledge this really powerful teaching about how we are community. My gratitude to my experience of being supported by a community of healers. And I still think that when I listen to Master Katrina say, the treasure of community is as important, as powerful, as significant as our remarkable teacher, or even as remarkable of the other masters. I think there's still more for me to understand. So, and I'm a student, you can probably already hear, I'm a student of community. I also teach dance. I focus on folk dance, community dance, dances from the Balkans, Greece, and Asia Minor. And these are dances done in community, in a circle, meant to be danced through our whole lives so that everybody's part of it. And famous folk dance teacher, Steve Gutansky, is famous for saying, folk dance is 10% steps, 90% style. You could say that's the same about Qigong. Qigong is like 10% form, 90% feeling it. And for style, the style is, like how we bounce, how we hold hands, how even also how we relate to the elders in the circle, how we share leadership. All of these things are reflecting how we relate to the earth, how we relate to each other. It's the art of being in community. So that I am a student of community, and that is why I am so curious. What is there for me to learn about this third treasure of community? Like, how do we really honor this treasure? How can we be part of it? What is it inviting us to do? And I don't want to. I want to make sure I acknowledge that what is here and is so precious to me. For example, I am grateful in the Spring Forest Qigong community to meet other people who are as sensitive as me and that are wired like me. It makes me feel less crazy, and that's really valuable. I'm so grateful to just be able to plug into the chi field of a group meditation. I go deeper, faster. I heal faster. I'm so grateful that I can, that it's not just me over here doing my little prayer for the world peace, but that I can be with many people and we can be praying for world peace together. I feel so much stronger and more powerful that way. And we are when we are together. I'm grateful to have friends to turn to with questions, for support. So, and my friends, I think there is actually even more for us to experience and to discover in being a community and being a community of Qigong practitioners, cultivating this third treasure of Qigong and of taking advantage of it, using it to support us. So that said, I also acknowledge that community can be messy. That's actually part of its teaching. It can be a buzzword, it can be talked about so much that we might lose track of what it means. So I'm going to structure some stories that I'm going to tell around 3 myths about community. These I am gathered from a book by Parker Palmer, Quaker, and he, or Quaker influenced at least, and he's written many books. This is the book, The Promise of Paradox. So the first myth of community is that we can buy community, that we can just somehow set about directly getting it and have it. And Parker Palmer would say that we can't have it just because we want it, right? So it's not like we just, we can go on retreat for a weekend and have a collective experience. We can pay membership dues and we're kind of part of a club, but being in community can mean so much more than that, right? And the funny thing is, and this is Parker Palmer's teaching, which I really appreciate, is that community is often a byproduct of love and action, of service, a byproduct of finding each other as allies in alleviating suffering. So I grew, my partner and I, we have a 14-year-old daughter, and we want to give her the experience of being in a faith community. So we've been bringing her to church. And there have been many drives to church. Why are you making me go here? And we would often answer because we want her to know what it's like to be in community. And for so many times, that answer would kind of fall flat, like grumble, grumble, grumble. Okay. And just because we were showing up, we weren't really feeling a whole lot of community there. But then the year 2020 arrived. And her school was canceled for a long time while the teachers regrouped. And then school was also very different for a while. All her classes, like karate, all these things stopped. The one thing that was constant was that faith community, that they were finding ways to reach out and connect. There was a lot of violence in our city, a lot of reckoning with violence throughout the summer. The faith community, our church was there helping her process, think about, engage with the community through it. And I could feel that it became real. It's like my daughter finally understood, oh, I get it. This is why we're here, because there's a community here that has my back. Oh. And it's very interesting to watch her evolve there. In Spring Forest Qigong, I want to especially celebrate a beautiful thing that happened in our community last autumn equinox. Terry Lears love radiator. He had us organize ourselves. I love the self-organizing bit, into a day of Qigong for peace. It was on the autumn equinox. We had 24 hours of practice every hour, and he stayed up for most of those hours. We had a different practice group leader or teacher leading Qigong on the 100 Days of Qigong practice group on Facebook. And we had people leading in Portuguese and Italian, and I think there was French and Mandarin and in English. It was beautiful. I had never had a chance to behold the richness of our Qigong community leadership like that before. But what I really treasured was that the community that was formed by all those teachers, realizing we could work together, we could have an idea and make something happen. That was wonderful to see and experience and be witness. And we make that happen also with our little things. Little things matter. For example, there's a distance healing Facebook group run by Nancy Havara. And this past winter, I had fallen on the ice, fallen right on my tailbone. I was like, oh, not the tailbone. And so I thought, well, I do have a lot of skills. I do know what to do. I could probably take care of this. There's a lot of, maybe there's a lot of other people with bigger problems, but I didn't let that voice win. I put myself out there. I said, I need some help. I just landed hard on my tailbone. And it was so wonderful. It felt so good to get these messages back when I shared that on Facebook. People's care. It was really beautiful. So I was talking about community as a byproduct of love and action. So that doesn't mean here's another way of saying it. I'm going to find my words here because I want to make sure I say it how I want. And so it's like we're sharing our quests to be more alive with each other, right? To make our love more alive, to make life more alive. And we're making, sometimes to be on that quest means we're actively working on our healing and we need help. And sometimes we're really being of service to others. But there's a yin and yang that are both so important and invaluable in community. So we don't want a community that's only made of helpers. You need the people who are helped are part of the community. And so think of that beautiful way that you have something to give to community, or that sparks community, and receive, being willing to receive is also part of what sparks community. Okay, so on to the second myth. Second myth is that a community could reflect our utopia of sisterhood and brotherhood. And this, I think, is an especially tempting myth for people in our, from a Qigong perspective, or any community that is enlivened by these really profound experiences of oneness. If we've had these moments in our meditation, I'm in the oneness. It feels so good. Healing is coming from this oneness. I see we're all related. That's an amazing experience. And when that reaches the human living out that feeling in community, it's not always going to be that amazing, serene experience, right? So Parker Palmer writes, community is less like a utopia than a crucible or a refiner's fire. Not least because easy access always means the collision of egos. But in this process, God wants us to learn something about ourselves and our limits, our need for others. And in this process, there's the pain of not getting our way, but the promise of finding the way of the universe. So, it's even though we have these great ideas of what community could be, it's probably good a little bit that our the dreams, the ideals of our small self have to continually let go into a bigger dream of the universe. So here's a little bit of a story of me working in community on these themes. Many of you know I love water. I have spoken about water. Water is a theme in so many things that I do. And I love it because water is this great connector. There's one water on this planet. It's a door to relating to our oneness. So because it's so central to my spiritual practice, I've sought out who else is using water to really be part of their spiritual practice. And I ended up connecting with Indigenous water walkers in my community. So it's a ceremony called water walking or Nibi walking. Nibi means water. It was started by grandmother Josephine Mandamin, and the walks I've been on have been led by Sharon Day. She's an Ojibwe elder. And in a water walking ceremony travels the entire length of a river, starting at the headwaters and going to the confluence. The walkers take a vessel of water, they fill it at the headwaters and carry it the whole way, praying for the water, and then offering the river at the confluence a taste of how it began. It's kind of just very similar means for healing as we use in Qigong, where we have that taste of how we began, awaken healing. The walk is done in relay, very, very important point. So each walker might walk a mile and then we'll meet with the caravan of cars that is also happening with the walk, pass the water to the next person, and then they'll walk a mile to the next person. So we can cover 30 miles in a day. Starting usually at 7 a.m., if not earlier, going in a continuous relay until 6, perhaps, then going to the campground, making dinner, swimming if we're lucky, maybe playing cards or a campfire, go get ready for the next day and repeat. It's very intensive. I usually only visit a walk for a few days, but I have been on many walks. So sometimes if someone says prayer walk, you might visualize, like Zen Buddhist prayer walking, very mindful each step. Very conscious breathing and stepping. And that is not how a water walk feels. And the water walk, we are walking the water, and the water wants to move at the pace of the river. And that river is moving, I believe, like 3 or 4 miles per hour. And so that means we're all pushing ourselves to move as fast as we can to serve that water. I've so many times thought, oh, could this please be just like a little slower? This is hard. But I also find myself like I am invited into this yielding to the pace of the water. The water has its own rhythm and pace, and I'm learning to follow it. And as I do that, I start to connect with how the water is moving through all the land, how it's gathering itself from the hills, how it is this life pulse through the land. Yielding to its rhythm connects me then to like a whole other understanding of the river's nature and of water's nature. And every so often on a water walk, we will also have someone join us who has not fully familiarized themselves with the guidelines, didn't receive a proper orientation. And so they have arrived with a romantic idea of them walking along the river, like, oh, I walked the whole way across the river. You see them on a quest. And so they'll start walking and the water will be passed. They keep going, the water will be passed. They keep going. And after a couple of miles, you see they're getting tired because they're not being refreshed the way the relay walkers are. They start sagging behind. And soon they start compromising the safety of the walker with the water. The group energy gets split and distracted. And it becomes a burden to the group that this one person has their egoic quest to walk the water with the river. And they're not seeing that this is not about an individual quest. This is about the water's path and about the community serving that path. And I've always been pretty happy to pass the water when it's my turn to pass it, but I am not without ego when I walk, and I think that that's part of why the walking is good for me, is it works on that. So I usually that first day, I'm especially really all alert. I'm pushing as hard as I can, and more often than I would like to admit that the end of the first day, I'm overheated, I might have a headache, I'm kind of crashing. And that's always my lesson, like, oh, right. If I'm going to be able to do this, and this is because this is hard for me, I'm going to have to lean into the group. I'm going to have to do my best and then really remember to rest. I don't have to be on all the time because it's not about me, it's about the group. It's been the learning to be in this group, and this is just like some of the stories for me about water walking, has created these powerful relationships for me. These are some of my strongest friendships come from this water walking area, like my water walking family, my water family. There really also truly is a crucible where I am being refined to learn to think of myself as part of the community of the water, as part of the community and not just my own self. So I'm grateful for how that water family, water community continues to teach me that lesson. So on to our third myth. The third myth is that community could be all like-minded. Certainly, many communities arise out of shared interest. And there's a very quick sort of dangerous temptation that could come after that, which is that we can choose to only let in who is like-minded into our community. That we could have sort of a pure community in some way. And instead, here's some words from Parker Palmer. The companions in community will be given to us by grace. And often they will be the persons who upset our view of self and world. In fact, we might define true community as the place where the person you least want to live with lives. The true community, there will be enough diversity and conflict to shake loose our need to make the world in our own image. True community will teach us the meaning of the prayer, "Thy will, not mine, be done." So this can be a tricky one to learn, and I have learned this teaching best through my body. After all, teachings of Spring Forest Qigong really encourage us to recognize and work with our bodies as a community, as a system. Even my liver is a liver system, and it is in community with my heart system. All these systems and systems with each other, layers and layers of systems. I think of the analogy that if I came across a group of children, one of them's in tears, even if the other kids are basically saying, I don't know what her problem is, like it's all her, I don't have anything to do with it, that I would assume that yes, indeed, like there's something happened before that was related to the whole group of children. Somehow she was provoked. There was some dynamic of history or other conversations that meant that even though this one child is loudly suffering and tears, it's related to the health of the whole group of children. So this is true in our bodies. So I came to Qigong when I was healing from cancer, and hallelujah, I am well now. But anyway, when I started, I had cancer cells that were not easily removed. I wanted them out. Oh man, I wanted them out, 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 gone. Um, and I was the prospect of surgery was incredibly dangerous and high risk. And so it was put off for years. So I had to live with with this part of me that I did not want, that I wanted to just banish, was my pariah. And the idea of sending any light or love, I wasn't sure that was okay. Because what if that gave it more energy? You know, and the thing is, what I have come to appreciate is that actually that constant banishing pariah treatment of the cancer was only making it harder to heal. My healing really accelerated when I learned that I had to approach the cancer with love, welcome it back into community, and say, take all the love you need. Thank you for being here. I have a feeling my whole being, all my body, all of us have something to learn from you. Thank you for being here, and bless you. Bless you. Take all the love you need, and I will let you be back transformed and back in community, back to the universe where you really belong. That's going to feel so good too. It was a huge shift, and it felt so good. It was so healing. And really taught me something that now, I really know in my bones, that that part that's sometimes the loudest and most prickly needs to take all the love it needs. And so that's my compass point for then how I relate to any other really prickly or annoying situation. So community can learning how to be in community with my illness transformed how I am with my whole body, changed the whole course of my life. That's a beautiful thing. And community so sometimes teaches through hardship, but it can also teach the joy. So I want to make sure to just relay the joy, how profound the joy of community can be and how healing it is. So actually, this is again in my intensive healing journey. Early on in that journey, I was really ensnared in fear. It's very, very hard to be outside of that fear, really just untentative about life. And I really needed help overriding those voices. And so that is like community. Community helped me break down those voices that I didn't want anymore, that weren't helping me. It was such a source of comfort. And so here's a particular way that happened. I did some radiation treatment, and a few days into it, I realized I really, really did not like it. I found it was intensive. There was 9 different times the machine, it went click and did a thing, click. Each time it did that, I just like braced, like, no, not again, like just, I hate this. And, but I also realized I could not have 5 weeks of living in that kind of dread and bracing. That was not good for me. So I was going to need to find another way to be through it. So I was doing a lot of guided visualization and, that take all the love you need message was really strong. What I came up with was the visualization. Every time the machine was doing something, I'd imagine it was one of my friends sending me love. And we had just been married the year before and had a Quaker style wedding, which means that many people got up and spoke from their heart and blessing. And, all of us kind of cried through the whole thing. It was such an open-hearted experience. So I just brought myself back to that blessing of that moment. And just picturing the different, even literally like the people and what they said, or just how it felt. That's the most important part. And it became this powerful, powerful meditation during my radiation to feel that. So much so that on the last day, I was sad. I cried. I shed a tear. I was like, this has been so meaningful. Like, I'm sad it's over. And I got over it. I was also glad it was over. But that's the power, the blessing of community. It can really transform really difficult circumstances and see us through. So I'm coming to the close of my thoughts, and just want to again talk about how Qigong emphasizes this teaching that we all are one, we all from the oneness. And it, is tempting to kind of just expand on that, like, oh, we're one this way, we're one that way. But this talk was really about how then that is applied and how we live as humans, how that teaching comes alive through our lived practice. And so important. And because here in the midst, right, it's not just something that happens because we want it. It comes as a byproduct of putting our love in action, of sharing our quest to move towards love. So in the second myth, it will not live up to our preconceived notions. It will disappoint. It will be hard. And that challenge, that disappointment will be an invitation to yield to something greater. And finally, it will include some conflict and diversity of perspective, which we really need, because none of us can have the whole picture. So even though we may not have a community of like-mindedness, that's easy. We can have a community of shared hopes. We all hope for a good life, for health, for thriving future generations to have hope and know where they came from. These are powerful hopes to share with each other, the hope for a world free from pain and suffering. And the hope is that alive trust in the power of unconditional love. That hope comes from knowing we come from the oneness, a oneness that is so entwined with that vibration of unconditional love, and that is powerfully transformative. So Spring Forest Qigong has offered me so much hope. It has transformed how I recognize and connect with and feel my relatedness to the entire life of the universe. And this is an exciting time for the Spring Forest Qigong community. We've had some years of incredible growth and transformation. As we've moved to mostly online offerings, we've had a huge influx of new leaders. And I think there's even more is possible. I'm so curious what it will be. And I'm curious what you might feel is your next way to deepen your connection to Spring Forest Qigong practitioners. Is it time to join a practice group or to reach out to somebody in that practice group and have tea, connect more? Is it time to seek out some coaching or to take a training and be part of a mastermind group afterwards? Maybe some wild idea will come up. But all that we do as we build community in Spring Forest Qigong and this talk in some way is a contribution to the greater community around us, that has a tone that is increasingly polarized. And so the teaching that we are one and the example, the work, the labor of love of living it out in community is so valuable when the art of it is not always treasured. But let's treasure it. Let's treasure it because it is so important. Okay, so now we are going to do a meditation to integrate this, reflect on the treasure of community. So please join me with this. You can be seated, standing, or lying down. And begin by coming to the pine tree feeling. And rooting where you are, your spine long and straight. Elbows away from the sides and your fingers separated. Again, shut your eyes if that feels comfortable to tune in to the pine tree feeling. Relaxed and energized. Dropping your shoulders, drawing in your chin a little bit. Smile on your face. Tip of the tongue behind the teeth on the roof of the mouth. Breathe in through all of your pine needle-y skin and collect that breath behind your navel in that lower vitality center, the lower dantian. And remember the password. I am in the universe. And the universe is in my body. The universe and I combine together. Now gently bring the energy from your navel up to your heart level, the middle dantian. Seeing a soft light shining there. And set the focus for our intention, for our meditation. Asking the universe, your master, to help you understand, connect with even more your connection with the community of life. With gratitude for how your master, the universe are always there, guiding and supporting you. Now we're going to bring the hands in front of the heart in a prayer position. We're going to begin with some gratitude and the movement for connecting with your heart's energy. Feeling gentle pressure between your fingertips and also the sense that they could be pulled apart. That creates a feeling where the chi flows the best. I'm going to breathe in, maybe bowing just 10 degrees softly. Exhale, coming up, letting the spine be a little bit like a wave. Breathing in with gratitude. I invite you to breathe in with gratitude to your liver system. Thanking the liver system for how it supports the heart system. And thank you to the heart system for supporting the stomach system. Thank you to the stomach system for supporting the lung system. Thank you to the lung system for supporting the kidney system. Thank you. Thank you, kidney system, for supporting the liver system. Thank you for all the green leafy plants that give us food. Thank you for the warming sun. Thank you for the rich, grounding, nourishing soil. And thank you for the minerals, the calcium, the iron, magnesium, all these minerals that are essential to our bodies. Thank you to the water. Thank you to all the lakes and aquifers that nourish our bodies. Thank you to our ancestors. Our body began as an egg that was formed inside our grandmother's womb. We are an extension of our ancestors' bodies and lives. Thank you. And as Spring Forest Qigong practitioners, thank you to our guiding teacher, Grandmaster Chun Lin, for all of his teaching and healing. Thank you to all of his teachers. Thank you to all of the healers and teachers standing alongside Master Lin. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for the community of Spring Forest Qigong practitioners, every single one. And thank you for the countless people through time that have shared these movements, who have bowed in this way with gratitude, who have shared these chants. Every time we practice, we can tap into that. We are never practicing alone. So we're going to come to the end of our bowing, to the standing or sitting tall. We're going to practice a chanting meditation, chanting the sound Om, Om, the sound of our home, that first place in the universe, the original sound of the universe. It's a vibration that takes us home to our origins. Through our origins, we remember we are all in this universe's family. Healing the Om. You may choose continue to chant or listen to me. Om resonating with the trees. Om resonating with the water and the birds. Om resonating in your body. Om resonating in your loved ones. The Om resonating in those that are difficult or prickly in your life. Om resonating through the whole earth. Continuing to chant. Letting the chant grow softer, like a whisper through your lips. And finally returning to the Om, simply resting in your heart. A vibration leading you back to the oneness. You are in the universe, and the universe is in you. You and the universe are one. And we are all one family. I say thank you to the universe, to your master for help with the meditation. Thank you to your ancestors and to the land and water, all the beings, your family and friends, in every life experience. Thank you. And gently bring the energy down from your heart to your lower dantian, seeing it spinning like a ball, spinning faster and smaller and brighter. Is it spinning clockwise, faster, smaller, brighter? Till it's condensed chi, a gan, healing elixir. I'm going to tuck it in deep behind your navel. It will continue to sustain you. And take a gentle deep breath, some gentle breaths. Letting your eyes gently float open, rubbing your hands together. And then massaging your face, massaging up the bridge of your nose and across down. Precious self, I love you. I love you. And then massaging the scalp and cupping the head. Massaging the ears. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me in this exploration of community and this meditation. Every time I teach, I always end with a bow to the three treasures, and I hope that that is an even richer practice this moment after treasuring the treasure of community. So thank you to the treasure of our teachers, Master Lin, those who came before, who are alongside and will come after him. Thank you for the treasure of these teachings that are so simple, so profound, so transformative. And thank you for the treasure of community that brings all of these teachings alive in our lived experience. Thank you very much. I love you, and I wish you a beautiful day. Bye for now.